past 12 years. And there's much more because it's anonymous and oh, it's a recording. Okay. Do I have to start all over again? We're here to save lives. Thank you for telling me that. My name is Jim Merritt. I was fortunate that the Purdue University student body president, Brett Hiley, came to see me along with 5 other student body presidents from all around the state of Indiana. And they wanted to, this is 13 years ago, they wanted to support what they called a medical amnesty law. And at that time, my kids, Will, Jennifer, and Abby, were on college campuses. So I was uniquely qualified to understand what was going on college campuses. And they were very concerned about people dying of being overserved. And I asked them, because I was a dad and because I knew the Senate so well, I asked them for 30 days so I can consider it and talk to people and kind of get used to the idea that we were in some ways enabling people to drink alcohol. And but this was not foreign to me. We had passed the safe haven law, which, you know, if you have a baby and you could drop your baby off at a hospital, and they have safe haven boxes now, and that was enabling legislation as well, because you're getting around the adoption system of the state of Indiana. And so I was used to that type of challenge, of challenging the members of the Senate, challenging the members of the Indiana General Assembly, that this was going to save lives. So 30 days later, Brett and all the rest of them came back to my office, and I agreed to it with the stipulation that they helped me write it, the law, as well as the fact that they helped me pass it, that they testify in front of a committee, they go into the senator's offices and work walls, and they are part of the apparatus. And they did such a great job that there were 0 no votes in committee, 0 no votes on the Senate floor, 0 no votes in the House committee, and 0 no votes on the House of Representatives floor. That's how effective they were. And they're living this down at the State House. And it was really great to see young women and men gathering together on a cause. And the system does work. And as you know, this law is flawed in some ways, in my opinion. And I've spent the last 12 years trying to correct it, because state law says that the person who is in need of medical attention does not have immunity if 911 is called or text. And remember, we have texting 911 in all 92 counties. Most states can't boast of that. And that's a really big assist to caring for people. But the other part of the law was that if you call, stay, cooperate, and you're helping your buddy, then you have immunity. And through the years, we've had pieces of legislation that have tried to amend the law, but we have been unsuccessful. But we will get it done. We will get it done. And so the law had a really good start. And Michelle Welchel with the Indiana Youth Services Association is going to come up and kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. But with the Kids First license plate that I had, with the Safe Haven law, and with the Lifeline law, these are all great laws. But you can have all the wonderful laws in the world for the state of Indiana, but if no one knows about it, then how good are they? So we raised money for all those laws to talk about baby Ephraim being left at community health hospitals, ER door 6 feet away, and a scared mother did not want to drop that baby off the hospital. We could talk about preventing child abuse with the Kids First license plate, but state government doesn't prevent anything. They always clean up after the parade. And so with the Lifeline law, we set about to raise awareness. And the state treasurer was gracious with her E911 monies. The people in the liquor lobby were gracious with theirs, and we started an awareness campaign. And it's been happening for the last 12 years or so. But I traveled up here and I told Jason, I told Becca that I'm happy to go anywhere and talk to three people on a street corner if it'll save a life. That's been my whole career. That's been my whole life, is that basically in this world, if you make one mistake, you got a problem. People make mistakes. I make 5 mistakes before I have breakfast in the morning. And with social media and everything that's going on, people can't afford to make mistakes. And sometimes people over imbibe, they're overserved, and that's a problem. And we need to spread awareness to the Lifeline law to make sure that people understand that there is a little grace, and we need to improve the law so we can continue to save lives. But the Indiana Youth Services Association is quite a partner with me for the last 12 years in spreading awareness. And we're going to be very busy on Purdue's campus as well as having a network throughout the state. And I'm just appreciative of Jason and Becca introducing us and allowing us to come speak to you this evening. And I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Michelle?
Thank you so much. I just first want to give Jim all the credit because he listened to students, and I feel like in all of his career, he passes a law, then he finds someone to help him with it. For those of you that are going into the law, that you might be a politician or that you might, want to do something like this, I would really spend some time with Jim. He's the only senator that I know in this state. Well, it's not like I know a lot of them, but he's the best one. Coming from a nonprofit position, it's so smart because there's 1,000 laws that get passed. Well, not 1,000, but quite a few that become law January or July 1st every year. It's on the news. We get a list of them, and then it's gone. Jim works tirelessly for all of his laws, and I always say his campaign should be, I have laws to save babies until your death. But that's the difference between laws that save lives. And so I'm excited. Thank you, Jason and Becca, for having us. Here's how I met Jim. It was actually pretty tragic, but also the best thing that's happened to us. So the law became law July of 2012. August 2nd, Brett Finblum went to a party to say goodbye to his friends. He was headed off to Oklahoma University. And there, and say goodbye to all of his friends. It was all seniors. They were all leaving. During the night, he drank too much too quickly. He went outside. He fell, hit his head. His friends found him and thought, oh no, he hit his head. And they did know that he was drinking, but they didn't know how bad it was. However, by the time they picked him up and put him in onto the couch, they were getting scared. In some of our videos that we have on our website, there were friends that they were actually tweeting, don't call, because they didn't want to get Brett in trouble because he had scholarships. And other students didn't want to lose their scholarships because they were going into their freshman year. Now, did they mean to do that? No. They're not malicious. It's just the culture, right? You don't want to get someone in trouble, especially when there's so much writing on it in just 3 weeks starting college. And so they cleaned up the party, and 45 minutes later, they called 911. 911 came. They were able to revive him. And Dawn will say herself, which Dawn and Norm are huge advocates. They've been everywhere with Jim as well, speaking to anyone as well. But Dawn is like, oh, thank God, they got his heart started. It's fine. So when they got to the hospital, They did see the doors open to the ambulance, and then they walked in, and the doctor said, "Well, we were able to get his heart started." She said, "Well, thank God." But as it went on, unfortunately, he was brain dead, and so he became an organ donor. Thankfully, he had signed that on his license, and so they at the funeral. Or after the funeral, somehow Jim found out about it and was sick about it, obviously, and went to the Femblems and spoke to them, but also went to our county legacy fund and asking for a nonprofit that could help educate the state about the Indiana Lifeline Law. And so, luckily for me, they said Promising Futures, and that's where I worked at that time. And so we actually, Jim met with me, the executive director, and our board president, and we had decided to take this on because we could see the importance of it. I tell you, I get emotional every time because, like, I have 3 girls, I have 8 grandkids, I have a 20-year-old at Anderson University right now. And the law doesn't mean anything unless you teach about it. And when Becca and Jason were saying that Purdue stopped teaching about it, oh, I mean, it broke our hearts. But what I'm so excited about is the opportunity that you all have if we can get this coalition going about the education, and the education is going to lead to amendment. We can't really say, oh, we want this amended, but we don't know what the people are saying. You guys have a website. You're speaking to people. I think that coming up with a simple way to teach about the Lifeline Law is very needed. But I'm excited. We're excited because you all are excited about it. Because the ripple effect of losing someone, I hope you guys never have that, really goes wide and far. And so this is a great opportunity for you all to make a difference and a sustainable difference. So it's one thing to work on it for a year, but to make something and to create something that will last for generations and generations is really a huge deal. So thank you for having us. I don't know if you have anything else to say. Oh yeah, you have questions?
If you guys have any questions about like the law in general, the record is right here. Anybody? Right here.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you consider to be one of the biggest weak points in the law right now that in terms of actually writing legislation, we should prioritize the try and get amendment?
Well, I think one of the weak points is that many people in the legislature, and when we've tried this bill before, many people in the legislature believe that if someone has a problem with being overserved, that there needs to be a teachable lesson. And they have, and many legislators are former prosecutors. And I'm not saying they don't believe in the law, but they don't think the idea of, first thing I thought of is, when my friend has been overserved, do I put him in bed where he might drown it, he might gag on his own vomit and die? That's what I think of. Some people think that it's an enabling statute where you're saying to 21-year-olds that you can drink alcohol and not get in trouble. And so that's really the weak point, is somehow getting immunity for the person in need of medical attention, as well as the people that stay and cooperate. And many states do this. Now, there have been people that have pointed out to me many times, and I'd love to get a solution to it, that if something like this does happen, they have immunity, but there's also a teachable lesson with it. There's some sort of program for them to recognize that this is a problem, and maybe they have a drinking problem and it wasn't noticeable. I will tell you that when I get texts from parents who have kids going through freshman orientation on college campuses in the state of Indiana and they talk about the Lifeline law, it gives me shivers. Yeah, I feel like I did something with my career in that regard. But as well as the fact that there will be a 17-year-old on Purdue's campus who has lived a life at home and everything that comes with that, and they're not used to the freedom, they're not used to the availability of alcohol, and they will make a mistake. And it's that mistake that I said about earlier. It shouldn't be your life. It shouldn't be besmirch your record. We need to have grace, and we need to have some way that if there is a problem that we can help that individual. But one mistake, and we've just got to have more grace in our lives. Yes.
Right here. And then hold it down while you're talking.
Okay, Senator.
Okay.
Senator Eden.
Yeah.
Senator Wolf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wanted to ask, what are the laws concerning how much they can serve someone if it's over serving?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, this is under 21. So this is primarily in a residence hall or at a fraternity or a sorority or some private party. So it really doesn't, unless Purdue has a rule or some sort of code that they can only serve so much at one of those private events. This is really for over serving a minor in a private situation.
So with that, would they then, like, if someone dies from it, would people be allowed to, like, press charges for that?
We have experienced so few that we know of people being overserved and passing away. Just the horror of that is something that I've always dealt with because I talk to everybody and they talk to me. But the bottom line there is I've never seen any type of criminal or any type of civil action placed upon someone because they didn't act. Yes. Senator Pranger, Chief Justice. Boy, you stepped up in the world.
I also want to try this out. Okay.
Okay.
So this one's going to be like kind of from a personal perspective for me because I'm an RA. I handle residents. I recently had some residents have a situation that was protected by the Indiana Lifeline Law, which, firstly, thank you for making that possibility. They were very thankful. But also, they had a situation where two of them were in a very similar state. And one of them, they were sent in the same ambulance back. But the call was only for one person, and only that person was protected by the law. If it was amended, is there a possibility that it could have like a broader scope, where if it's called and people are taken by the same ambulance, they receive the same protections?
I think that's a very good idea. Somebody said to me the other day, I don't know if I told you ladies about this, but somebody said to me the other day, what happens if I'm the one who has that is under 21, and then I'm under the influence of alcohol, and I'm overserved, and I make the call? Now, do I get immunity? And I've never heard of that. And we have talked to 200,000 or 300,000 people, and I'm not joking about that. I think we hit 50,000 people in the first 4 years or so. And so that's a very good question. That's really why we're here. Number one, to spread the word, but also learn from you all. And I think that's one of the primary reasons why we're here tonight, is to hear examples that we haven't thought of. And I appreciate you bringing it up. Yes, ma'am. Are you president? No, president's down here.
No, I'm a proxy.
Are you a senator?
Yeah.
Okay. Senator Litt.
Today.
Okay.
I'm not Senator Lynn. I'm just proxying
Okay.
for her, but
Alright.
I'm representing her place. I was
Okay.
just curious. You said you had 57 lives saved.
Mhm.
Of those 57 lives saved, what were the repercussions that they faced? Because as those people that were saved were not under the protection necessarily? Did they face any?
None.
They didn't?
None.
Okay.
I have had one situation where somebody called me up and they were the father, or they were, I think, yeah, it was their kid, and they had way too much to drink one night, and they were such a handful for the police. The police, it was at IU, the police actually gave them a ticket. And that ticket disallowed them from applying for nursing school. And so, you know, you can't, you've got to be clean. You've got to be clean. And so, no, to answer your question, with those 57, there were no repercussions whatsoever. 58.
You know, in teaching about the law, you have to really say, you know, you have to stay and you have to cooperate. So if someone's going to get out of line, or they are going to get a ticket, and that's not the law's fault. And by the way, they probably are intoxicated, but really, I mean, that is part of the law of staying, and anyone that stays and helps, but they have to cooperate and not be nasty. I mean, the police are they're just going to give you a ticket. Yeah. And I had another thought, but I'm pretty excited about 58.
Yeah. With what I meant about the one person, they were under 21 and they were inebriated and they needed medical attention. And I've got a great relationship with the IU police, and they don't want to ticket anybody. They just want people to be safe. And so this person was so outrageous to the police officer, they felt like something was wrong with them, so they ticketed him. But ordinarily, they want to make sure that that person has medical attention and make sure that they're safe. Yeah, sure. And there's somebody who has a question.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do want to say, and whenever we have been out speaking to colleges and high schools, one of the things that we do make sure everyone before we leave has already made a decision to make the call in case someone, because when you're inebriated, you're trying to make a judgment on impaired brain. And so that's the other thing, is making the decision that you're going to make the call, and you can make the call and be safe to make the call. You make that now. And then if someone accidentally makes the curious mistake of drinking too much, if they've already made that call and they see someone passed out, or that decision, they've seen someone passed out, they're more than likely going to make that call without hesitation because they've already decided they're going to do that. If that makes sense.
Your question?
Yeah, so I was wondering, so I know a lot of neighboring states and just across the U.S. have the same law, either in a more expanded version than Indiana or the same as we do. What, I guess, I'm sure in your process you've consulted with people from different states and how they got
Best practices.
their legislation passed, but what are the differences that you see in Indiana, whether it be in the verbiage that the bill is introduced in, or just demographic differences that have resulted in why Indiana
Well,
is
Michelle
behind?
can answer this a little better than I because she studied it, but I know Florida is a very good, simple law, and it gives the protections for the person needing medical attention as well as the caller. Or yes.
So there's 47 states as of last year that have an amnesty law. Texas, Indiana, and Maine are the only ones that do not include drugs. Every single other one, it's drug overdose and alcohol poisoning. So that's the difference. And Florida's law is very easy to teach. Boston's, because we have a huge funder for Make Good Decisions in Boston, they wanted us to teach it. Their amnesty law is in 3 different laws. One is it's to alcohol. Yeah, in 3 different ones. One of it is for the people that sell alcohol. You know, they're in trouble if they sell it. But and then the other is in hosting. And then the other is it's impossible to teach it, but there is a Good Samaritan law within that if you make the call, you do have amnesty, you do have protections, but it's ridiculous to figure out. Like I couldn't figure it out. I had lawyers look at this so we could go there and teach, and we couldn't even figure it out. It's ridiculous. So that's one of the worst laws, I think, if you ask me. But anyway, because it has to be.
Okay, so I'm risk manager for my fraternity house, so we teach this extensively to our brothers, and same with like IFC as a whole as well. I think this year, not this year, but like while I've been risk manager, we've made the call 3 different times. So when like I hear a lot of fact and fiction around the amnesty law, I've heard that if you move the person when they're unconscious, then you no longer have amnesty. Is that correct or
That
not?
is not true. That's not.
Untrue. There's nothing about anything regarding anything other than if you make the call, you get the immunity, stay and cooperate, and that's it.
I think we're up to 61 now.
Is there anything else? Go ahead.
Perfect. Is this working? Awesome. So the question I had is probably apropos to how I serve Purdue student government as press secretary. What have you found to be some of the most effective ways to engage in education about the law in trying to educate large audiences?
So the most effective is a social media dome that is placed over right now. Purdue has one over it. Jim and one of his friends came up with this in 2013. We've continued that. Huge success. almost 7 million impressions a year. The fall, we do the colleges. And then the spring, we do the high schools. Now, because of funding, we're not able to do every college and every high school right now, but we're working towards that. We have found that to be massively really effective because where is everyone, right? They're right here. So when you guys, it's kind of creepy. You sign on to Purdue, your IP goes up. We send down an ad to your phone or to your laptop. That's been the most effective. As mass, in person, I think is really best. Right? When I would say, yes, yeah. Yeah, and the stories. Dawn Finbloom, when she shares about losing Brett and Norm speaks to the soccer team at Carmel, that's probably the most effective because no one wants their parents to go through that. And thank you for reminding me that because they are, and there's just not, they've moved to Florida because I just think it's peaceful for them right now. And it's still really hard for them that they lost Brett. So the personal story of that. Okay. You. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask, how do you prioritize what high schools you go to? Is it because you said you can't go to all of them? So how do you choose?
So mostly it's who's getting a hold of us. Like the people, I've not actually ever asked a high school for us to go and speak. I will say 2020 stopped a lot of that. And so we're just now getting back into that. But I don't know how many times I've called Jim and it's like, okay, like Friday night, he's going to be speaking to Carmel at a soccer game. And this just isn't, this is like 5,000 people with Make Good Decision shirts on that he's going to be able to educate and speak to. So more than likely, people have heard Norm and Don's story. And they want their kids to know about the Lifeline Law in the state and the dangers of binge drinking and the signs of alcohol poisoning. So that's the other huge thing because, like Jim said, you just can't prop them up. Their BAC is going to continue to go up. So they're silently dying, basically.
We'll go anywhere anybody will let.
Yeah, we'll go anywhere. Yeah.
I imagine one of the biggest deterrents from call is, so if I make the call for a friend of mine that has alcohol poisoning, and alcohol is seen on the premise when it shouldn't be, or there's other people that are underage drinking, what happens there? Can charges be pressed?
Yeah, it's immunity. Yeah.
It's not just physically making the call.
Exactly.
It's staying. What we're trying to get towards is understanding what that individual actually consumed and how much that individual consumed. So when the healthcare folks come, that they can save that individual. And so that's why we put the incentive in there to stay and cooperate, because we didn't want people dashing and not understanding. Brett Fidbloom probably drank as much as a handle of alcohol, of vodka that night. And everybody went quiet. And we don't want that. We want to incentivize people with immunity to stay and cooperate so they can help the person in need of medical attention.
It was mentioned that one of the biggest roadblocks of this legislation in the House and Senate is the legislators that want to see a learnable lesson from it. What is the idea, or is there a idea or possibility of what that learnable lesson would be in companionship with immunity?
Well, I think and I'll put myself in somebody else's shoes, because I frankly, having kids, going to college, being in college myself, knowing, and I drank alcohol, but putting myself in somebody else's shoes, that it's 21 years old for a reason, that to drink alcohol. And if we're going to start amending laws with alcohol, why don't we turn it to 18? And so they don't want that. And so they think that if we give immunity to the person in need of medical attention, that's changing the alcohol laws. And that you could have, it's a lot like, I have a friend who's a police officer, and he went back to an individual's house 3 different times and had to apply Narcan to that individual 3 times and never arrested him. And and so that's chronic. And they think if you're against this law, they think that it's enabling, and that there's a problem with that individual that we need to take care of. And the only way to do that is in front of a judge and get that individual into a program. And we had that in the bill initially when Brett helped write the law. However, we had it taken out because the fiscal impact of the programs that somebody would have to go through if they were inebriated and needed medical attention, there were so many reasons against me 12 years ago, but I'm still working on it. But that's the problem, is people feeling like enabling and saying that you can drink alcohol under 21.
To your point, programs connected to a law means that's another committee in its funding. In the state of Indiana, it'd have to come out of DCS, FSSA. So there's a lot of complications within making that part of the law. Then somewhere the money has to come along. We're the only state that has an awareness campaign for the amnesty law. Other states come to us asking how to do it, and we have to fundraise 100%. And so money is always the issue, unfortunately.
Proxy factor.
I just wanted to verify, kind of touching on his question. He was talking about how if the one person calls, they do have immunity. All of the other people that are in that situation but didn't actually make the call, do they have immunity as well?
Yes, they do.
They
If they
do.
they stay and cooperate.
Every single person.
Every single person. And I'm not a police officer, but if I walk in there, my main goal is making sure the person who needs medical attention is saved. Now, if I see beer bottles, or if I see even syringes or whatever, maybe I collect them. But my major focus is that individual in saving a life. Yes.
So, like you said earlier, you had to remove that from the original bill.
Yes.
How is a lawmaker like over time, have you kind of wrestled with like, oh, like this thing I think is really important can be in this great bill that I'm writing, but it might jeopardize the whole thing.
Right. He asked the question, when there's a piece of legislation and there is a part of it that is going to defeat the bill because a majority of the senators, or the Indiana General Assembly for that matter, are against it. How do you work through that? And with this bill, I knew that I was swimming upstream, and to be honest with you, I was stunned that we didn't have a no vote against it. But this is usually when you have earth-moving legislation, you really count on it happening like 2 or 3 years down the line, because you get all the bugs out of it. And we did this in 1 year. It's because I did my homework, and I had the kids, I had the students, the presidents working with me on this thing. But as a legislator, you've got to know, you've got to have a feel, the nuance, and you also talk to a lot of people in the legislature and see how they feel about it. When this bill was groundbreaking. There's no question about it, and we got it done, and I'm glad for it because we've saved lots of lives. Yes.
From an education perspective, has there been any like looking into educating on as an emergency situation, similar to how like fire drills or tornado drills are advertised, like with posters, or like slogans like instead of stop, drop, and roll, like call, stay, and cooperate?
Right. We chose a lot of hashtags. And everybody hear the question? What have we done with our awareness? As she said, we can crowdsource, and we can drop into your phones. If you're at Ross Aid, we can drop into all 60,000 people. We can drop a message into that. We've had posters in bathrooms on stall walls. We have had at Big Red. I got them to put posters in their windows. You know, obviously the under 21 group isn't in there, but we were just going for education, and we also put what I called neckers on the handles themselves, and just as a reminder to people. And so we have tried and succeeded in a lot of different measures to get the word out, and that's just a few of the different tricks of the trade. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Safe ride home. Bye. Okay. All right. Yep. Mic's on. Okay. At 7:44 p.m., I will now call this meeting to order. All right, we're going to have our Chief Justice Pranger and our 2 new senators come down to be sworn in. We're going to have you guys come to the front of the room this time. You're literally just going to repeat what Jacob tells you, and Jacob is going to say it into this microphone.
Mic check. Well, it's good mic check, not a good voice check. All right, we are good. Just give me a second. Got to pull up the stuff I need to. All right, so as Becca said, I'm just going to read aloud. Just say what I say back to me. All right, I, then state your name. On this 25th day of September 2024, swear to abide by and uphold the Constitution and the bylaws of the Purdue Student Government. I swear to conduct all legislative business with the utmost integrity and with the best interest of Purdue University and its student body. As my main objectives. As my main objectives. Congratulations. You've been sworn in. Can I keep this?
Okay. Okay, we're gonna get started with introduction of visitors. So you would introduce yourself if you are a Senate Associate member. So we will start with Senate Associate members. So if you are a Senate Associate member, say that you're a Senate Associate member and then say your name and say the college you are with.
I'm Chloe Roberts. I'm a Senate Associate member with College of Ag. I'm Anna Heck.
Oh, don't forget to press the button, sorry.
I'm Anna Heck, and I'm a Senate Associate member with the College of Agriculture.
I'm Rose Barrett, and I'm a Senate Associate Member with the College of Exploratory Studies.
I'm Wiley Frederick, and I am a Senate Associate Member with the College of Pharmacy.
I'm Titania, and I'm Titania Serene, and I'm a Senate Associate Member with the College of Science.
I'm Prithvi O'Leary, and I'm a Senate Associate Member of the Daniel School of Business.
I'm Molly Nichols, and I'm a Senate Associate Member with the College of Polytechnic.
I'm Ria Sharma, and I'm proxying for Senator Walker in the College of Health and Human Sciences.
I'm Laura McRae, and I'm a Senate Associate Member for the College of Health and Human Sciences.
Okay, do we have any other visitors? Yes.
I'm Olivia Hazenkamp, and I'm a visitor.
Okay, we will now get started with roll call. Senator Martin. Senator Kaufman. Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Wolf. Senator Blazik.
Here.
Senator Garcia. Senator Ali.
Here.
Senator Grossman. Senator Eamon. Senator Muscarella.
Here.
Senator Katagari. Senator Walker. Yeah. Who's the proxy for Senator Walker? Perfect. Senator Hugh. Senator Rice.
Here.
Pro Tem Monkholm. Senator Tovar. Do we have a pro temp for Tovar? I mean a proxy for Tovar. Okay. Senator Abu Sada. Correct me if I pronounce anything wrong. Okay. Senator Disabella.
Here.
Senator Liu.
Proxy.
Senator Ketcher. Senator Poyer.
Here.
Senator Hijaz.
Here.
Senator Ramazami. Proxy. Senator Koteka. Senator Bergen. Senator Seminaro. Senator Kalangari. Oh, wait, Kalangari?
Yeah,
Kalangari. Okay. Senator Shankar. Yep. She had a proxy though, right? Or no? Okay. Okay. Roll call has included, so we're now going to get into the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional homelands of the indigenous people on which Purdue University is built. We honor and appreciate the Potawatomi, Delaware, Miami, and Shawnee people who are the original indigenous caretakers. We will now move into our Pledge of Purpose. All right, everybody rise. 3 taps of the gavel means rise for future notice. Okay, ready? Our purpose is to be the voice of the Purdue student body, serve the needs of students in all university matters, and provide leadership that stimulates initiative, inspires excellence, and exemplifies professionalism. And above all, hail Purdue. Great, great. The meetings from last meeting the minutes for the last meeting were distributed by Pro Temp Monkholm. Are there any corrections to the distributed meeting minutes? Any corrections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. Now moving into advisor reports. Did she text you? And she said she couldn't make it. Not, okay. Oh, advisor reports.
I don't have any. Have some announcements maybe for later on.
Okay, perfect. Now moving into executive reports. President Packard.
Is this okay? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So I can give some reports real quick. Becca and I earlier today with Senator Merritt and IYSA met with our local representative Senator Deary, and we think it went really well. So the Lifeline Law Initiative is moving forward, and we're really excited about it. And I think within the next month or couple weeks, we'll have some great news for you guys on that front. Senator Rice and I are also going to be talking about Voting Accessibility Day, so we're excited about that. And I'm sure you guys talk about that at caucus, but that'll be a discussion that comes up, so that's another thing. And then parking. Our ABTS liaison is researching parking. Parking's been a continued issue this year and in previous years, so our ABTS liaison's working on that. And he's forming a group, so if you're passionate about parking, talk to Nick. And yeah, he's looking for solutions, so that's what I got.
All right, my updates. Okay, everybody take out your phones right now. Not to be pushy, but everybody scan the QR and go to the website that our senior policy advisor, Kotaro, designed and made it absolutely amazing. There is a section on the website to submit anecdotes. We need your anecdotes. They are vital. Send that out to as many people as possible right now or later. But we truly appreciate it. We really need these anecdotes to make this happen. Make sure you guys are submitting anecdotes. Also, the petition is linked on there if you guys want to sign it, and literally send it to as many people as possible. Okay. PSG Pals. So, Deputy Chief of Staff Mallory, Deputy Chief of Staff Fonte designed PSG Pals, which is basically just kind of integrating the branches. And so you would be paired with a member of PSG from another branch, or potentially the legislative branch, who you have similar interests with or similar major. They're likely going to be an upperclassman if you are an underclassman, or vice versa. That way you guys can get those who have Purdue experience. And basically you would just be talking about PSG, talking about Purdue, PSG Pals. Any questions? Ask DCOS Fonte. Okay, also, if everybody wants to take out their phone to scan that, please. And that takes you to the Google form where you can fill it out if you are interested. Also, we will send it out later. Okay, also, I want to gauge interest. How interested would you guys be in making like a PSG Pals between PSG and PGSG? So basically it would be like your own individual advisor, but it would be a grad student. So that grad student would just be kind of guiding you through like their experience in grad school, their experience in PGSG. If you're interested in going to grad school, like how they did applications, all that. Anybody, would you guys be interested in that? Yes? No? Yes, you want a PSG Pal and grad and PGSG? That's the grad student government. Yes. Okay. Senate Associate members, if you have appointed your Senate Associate member and they are not on this list, you need to come and speak to me at the end of the meeting or message me on Slack. These are all the current ones that we have appointed, and some of them are here in person. Okay, that's all of my updates. We'll go back. Chief Staff Eli.
Okay, 3 things. First thing is we did introduction tabling last week, so all committees did tabling throughout the week. You could have saw them. It went amazing. It was the very first time BOD or PSG has ever done this. Mallory and I worked a lot over the summer to make sure that it went well, and it went amazing. The majority of our directors know how to do tabling events and large events on campus, and it's really set us on the strong foot for this year. The second thing is the PSG Pals. Because you all are senators, we have a lot of people in BOD that look up to you because of your position. So please fill that out. And we also have a lot of directors and executive directors that want to work with you senators to write bills, and it is an amazing way to get connected with you all. So you guys as senators hold a really high amount of power in PSG, and it means a lot to people in BOD, so please fill that out. And the last thing is, if any senators are interested in diversity and inclusion initiatives, please meet me after Senate, because we have some people in BOD that want to write a very good bill about SWANA and ideas around that, and they want to introduce that to the Senate, but they also need a senator to help them write it because they don't know how to write bills. So if you're interested in D&I initiatives, please reach out.
DCOS, Fonte unfortunately cannot be here tonight. Pro Tem Uncle.
Yeah, I think most of my relevant announcements about the senators and secretary but biggest thing for me, make sure you're getting your legislation in on time, which is 11:59 Sunday night. That's my cutoff. Anything after that, I'm gonna have to make you guys that 2 weeks in advance. So make sure you get your legislation in on time, and also when you're letting me know can't be at a certain time session. That's also the deadline for that. So please don't tell me day of that you can't be at a session. If you have 2 unexcused absences, we're going to have a conversation.
You didn't press your button.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
All, but
No. Okay. Do you have anything else? Anyone else?
that's it for me.
Treasurer Springer.
Over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been working on SOGA. Our SOGA period 1 is coming up. I met with the board on Sunday, September 8th, to get decisions out. And then decisions were officially put in for all of the groups on Friday, September 18th. We ended up giving out about $246,000. So really exciting. And then over the last 2 weeks, I've been doing grant agreement meetings with the groups. The last day for that is this Friday. And then the period for that starts October 1st, that they can start spending money. So very exciting. One other thing, I've been meeting with the Senator Grossman and the Financial Affairs Committee. Senator Grossman is now the chair of the Financial Affairs Committee. And we're hoping to get small grants set up this week or next week. So.
Press Secretary Gonzalez.
All right, so recently the Boilermaker briefing had went out again. I also would like to send a potential form in the PSG Slack about getting feedback from you guys within PSG about what you think about the briefings, whether you think they're ineffective, like the current format is effective, improvements, and or events that you as senators would like to be promoted. That's one of the main reasons that the briefing exists, and if I don't know about your events, I can't advertise them, and I would love to be able to advertise them to the entire student body. I'm also continuing to work with my contact at the West Lafayette news station to try and actually get an appointment going once her boss is back in office, and that had been taking longer than expected. And I also would love to, on kind of a personal note, speak with a senator about some possible legislation about medical absences. So if anyone is passionate about like absences and how those work with the university, as had previously been proposed with mental health, but this is a little different due to some experiences that some students and myself have experienced. So if you're interested, DM me on Slack and I can expand a little more.
Secretary Maria.
Oh, it's not working. Oh, there. Now I. Okay, so 2 things. First off, these are stuff. So that's really important. And the second thing is, if you can, I'd really appreciate that. Bills or resolutions, just mention your name before you start speaking. So, minute. And yeah, that's it.
Chief Justice Pranger.
Okay, I've got a good amount to report because I've been everywhere the last few weeks. My current prerogative, as I kind of outlined the last Senate session I was at, was to get more for court to do and better integrate court as well because we, as many of you are aware, we've been an island for a very long time. First step of that was being involved in grievances between 2 senators, which I touched upon before. I got to talk with Chief of Staff Eli about being involved in BOD grievances as well. He still has to go over that with Deputy Chief of Staff Fonte, but hopefully once that goes through, those will be implemented. I got to meet with the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities, and we are currently looking to get involved in off-campus roommate disputes through OSRR, and we'll be able to mediate them. We're going to have Dalton Pop, come in, and he's going to train us on that, and that'll be an initiative. We're going to be giving it a trial run with Rise and Edge due to their proximity, and they're 1,200 people combined. So it's still a good enough sample size. We'll get grievances or hear things, but not so much that we're being overwhelmed. Additionally, I've been talking with Treasurer Springer about both SOGA and Financial Affairs Committee appeals. Those are currently still pending the process because I am meeting with Dr. King, and Dr. King, as always, is very busy. So I'm trying to not press her too much on it, but also trying to make sure that she likes the process. But yeah, that's about all I have for new reports for court.
ABTS liaison Steve, is he here? Don't believe so. Senior Policy Advisor Kotaru?
Nothing crazy. Obviously Paige sent out the wonderful Boilermaker briefing, so the website is linked to that if you guys didn't scan the QR code. If you have friends who have experienced an alcohol-related emergency, please encourage them to submit these anecdotes. They can make all the difference. It is totally anonymous. They will not get in trouble for submitting, and I know we all want to make underage drinking safer on this campus, so yeah, please encourage that. And if you don't have anyone to send it to, just sign the petition. That takes no effort, and numbers also do wonders. And last thing, if you are a senator interested in joining, hopefully, the Lifeline Law ad hoc that we will discuss today, the form is technically closed, but please reach out to me because I'm interested in taking as many people as possible. And if you don't want to do the ad hoc because of the commitment, we can also discuss just being part of the Lifeline Law team. So, yeah.
Perfect. Any additional executive reports? Seeing none, we'll move into committee reports. Internal Affairs, where are we at right now? Perfect. Financial Affairs, Senator Grossman. Does Senator Grossman have a proxy?
He's not here, but I can speak.
Okay, perfect.
We met to we just revised the small grant program guidelines, which we talked about during caucus, and there will be a bill tonight to address just passing those guidelines that we revised. The main change was decreasing the overall limit that student organizations can request from the small grants program from $500 to $250, because the purpose of this program is to address as many student organizations as possible. Organizations seeking a greater sum than $250 can look elsewhere, and there are the programs for them to do that. We also just cleaned up a lot of ambiguities and loopholes in it to make it easier to read for both us when we're deciding who gets the funds and for organizations as they apply. And yes, we also elected Senator Grossman as the committee chair.
For our Senate Associate members present, make sure you are aware that you will be attending the standing committee meetings alongside your senators, just so you guys know. Does anybody else want to add anything from Financial Affairs since Senator Grossman isn't here? Anybody? Good? Okay, perfect. Campus and Student Resource Affairs, Senator Rice.
Yes, we had our first meeting yesterday. We have the bill on the floor tonight to talk about the campus voting accessibility, and we'll be hopefully working on some legislation to clarify bus schedules from Indianapolis to West Lafayette and to get some improvements to lighting on campus.
University and Academic Affairs, Senator Poyer.
So we're looking to have our first meeting at...
Don't forget the button.
Sorry.
Wait.
Perfect.
Beautiful. We're looking to have our first meeting at the earlier half of next week where we can hopefully lay out some preliminary plans for the year.
Perfect. Okay. Indiana Lifeline Law Ad Hoc, just some updates for those of you who applied. Senior Policy Advisor Kotaru is reviewing those applications. The ad hoc bill will be presented tonight. And then once that is passed, then, we can actually accept those people and start having those ad hoc meetings. Just a reminder, too, that your ad hoc will be a part of the greater Indiana Lifeline Law team. So there is interest within the board of directors, so you guys will be working alongside them during your meetings. Disability Community Ad Hoc. So the Disabled Student Union has reached out to us looking for help improving accessibility on campus. And so I think that we could do a lot of good towards this situation. So if you guys are interested in improving accessibility on campus, please scan the QR. It literally just takes you to a Google form that asks yes or no, whether you are interested in being part of the Disability Ad Hoc. Also, this existed last year, and so we're just renewing it, but questions, concerns, this will be sent out too. Okay. Okay, moving into informal discussion. Do I hear any informal discussion on Resolution 2403? Yeah, Senator Rice.
Yeah, for anybody who wasn't able to be present during caucus, the statement of this bill is basically that Jason and I would like PSG to make a statement to get us a voting location on campus. Purdue, as of now, is not slated to have one for the general election day on November 5th. This has not been the precedent in the past. So we would like to get that corrected, and we'd also like to try to add more of an opportunity for students to vote early as well. You can read the bill for more information and why that's important for students.
No, it's a formal discussion.
Yeah, so the who decides where the voting locations are is basically what my understanding of it is. Purdue University suggests locations to the Board of Elections, and both of them work together and could not find a location on campus that they deemed viable. And this is the first time in a long time that Purdue has not had a location. You can look in the bill. There's a figure in there that shows the closest locations, but for most students, the closest location is going to be the West Lafayette City Hall, which worst case scenario, this is about 1,500 of our students. If you live in McCutcheon or Hillenbrand, that's nearly a 1.5 mile walk. So this raises the question: how many students are not going to make that 1.5 mile walk because it's inconvenient to go vote? And there is some amount of students that are going to come to that conclusion, and that's a form of voter suppression. They're going to meet tomorrow morning to hopefully finalize their decision to add the COREC as an early voting location, potentially any other spots. Whether or not we can get on-campus election day voting, I'm not sure, but I think it's important to put a statement out from us that we want on-campus voting on election day for future years, so we can hopefully make a statement that will impact future years after this year.
I just wanted to say something in support of this bill. I think PSG has a responsibility, like part of our purpose is to hold the university accountable, and the Purdue University Code of Ethics has a few things that kind of tie into this.
Wait, I'm so sorry. You're saying such important stuff on the button.
I don't know if this works. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We, as part of PSG, we need to be holding the university accountable, and the University Code of Ethics has a few lines that really would support the fact that Purdue should be holding polling locations, such as we accept our responsibilities to share leadership in a democratic spirit, as well as we champion freedom of expression. And kind of just to reiterate what they said, this is essentially a form of voter suppression if students are not enabled to express, to be civic involvement, because that's something that the university champions. We really need to hold them accountable and make that doable for the students.
This isn't about the bill, but just a reminder that this is the time to ask questions if they weren't asked in caucus. During debate, during new business, there are avenues to ask questions, but it's much easier if all those questions are asked right now. Second reminder is that going forward, starting today, there will be a 2 debate limit. There should have been in the past, but that was just hard to enforce. But starting today, there will no person can debate more than twice. So if you'd like to have, if you have questions, now is the time to ask them.
I'm not exactly sure who I asked this question to, but I was just curious in general, when we pass, if this is passed, how soon would our statement go out? Because I think you mentioned that the board's meeting regarding the early voting registration at the COREC, they're meeting tomorrow morning. So I know that Senator, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Senator Rice was talking about possibly having the pre-registration open for a longer amount of time instead of like 11 to 3. Is that something that we'll still like be able to have happen if they're meeting tomorrow about it, if we pass this?
So Senator Rice and I can both answer this. I think our feelings toward this diverge a little bit. As for a statement, I wanted to make a formal letter to the election board earlier this week, but I wanted your guys' support behind it, so I figured I'd wait. Considering they meet tomorrow morning, and tomorrow there could be extended in future meetings after tomorrow. There can still be changes, but the timeline here is really short. So whether there is further additions to be made other than the COREC early voting, I'm not sure. For me, I think I want to take a firm stance on this and make sure that this never happens again. But I know Senator Rice probably wants to comment too.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with Jason. I think this statement has more of an impact if it comes from PSG as a whole, so I'm glad we're doing it this way. We probably won't be able to get this exact resolution to the desk of the elections board when they vote on this tomorrow. However, things that happen during elections are amendable. So it's possible that they can go back, they can change the timeline, they can work with the COREC to extend the space request. We're not wholly limited at this point. A few days ago, they weren't going to have any early voting. So we have some ability to kind of work with the elections board on the process, but I think it's important, like Jason said, that this comes from the whole student government and the body as a whole, not just one or two people.
I didn't know if maybe if we can't get a location here, if there'd be any way to like maybe use like city buses, like kind of like try to convince the university to help like bus students to those locations so like they don't have to make like the walk. I didn't know if that was something.
Yeah, so I think there's two parts of this voting accessibility issue. One, the first part, like phase one, would be trying to get more locations, and that we'll pretty much, I think we'll pretty much know what the voting situation is going to look like tomorrow by the middle of the day. And then I think that after we know that, that opens up the second phase where us as Purdue student government could do a program like you're mentioning with the transportation, or we could do, or we will do education. So we're going to use, Paige is probably going to send out an email, and we're going to try to do our best to educate students on whatever the board decides tomorrow morning. So I think tomorrow we'll have a good idea on what strategy we want to take for increasing voter turnout for students.
One of our visitors has just let us know that the vote is actually Friday morning. So we will probably have some time to get it to them before then.
Do I hear any informed discussion on Bill 2433? Oh, sorry.
You guys remember to mention your names beforehand because I actually didn't get a few of your names in, so I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so before you guys speak, say your name for Secretary Maria. No, Jason. Do I hear any informed discussion on Bill 2434? Super controversial. Anyway. Okay. Do I hear any informal discussion on Bill 2435? Seeing no additional informal discussion, we will move into unfinished business. Do I hear any unfinished business? Seeing no unfinished business, we will move into new business. Okay, also, as Parliamentarian Newman said, this is a reminder, during this period you have 2 debates per motion, as well as the senator that authored the bill does get first debate, so they should be debating first before anybody else does. Also, the senator who wrote the bill, who was the legislator for the bill, should be the one moving to bring it up. So if you authored a bill tonight, you need to move to bring it up. Okay. Do I hear any new business? Oh, Senator Eamon.
It doesn't have to be a senator who writes a bill. If it's a non-senator who writes it, does like the sponsor get the first dibs, or like is there something like that?
Anybody can move to bring it up, but if it's a sponsor.
Okay, so how it works is technically nobody, like if you wrote the bill and you proposed it, you don't technically have to be the first one to debate it. You have the first right to debate. So you are always the person that has the first right. Now, bills can only be brought up by senators. So if someone wrote it, the senator, they should be the one bringing it up, and then they also have that first right to debate, even if they weren't necessarily the sole author. If there is another author, then that author, if they're not in Senate, they would have to have time yielded to them to speak on the bill. Does that answer your question?
But if, let's say Treasurer Springer authored a bill and another senator sponsored it, is that senator supposed to be the one to bring it up?
Yes. So whoever sponsors the bill, because bills can only come from senators. So whoever sponsors the bill, they're the ones that have, for one, to bring up the bill and also first right to debate. Whoever brings the bill forward is the one that has the first right to debate. You don't necessarily have to take it, but you have the first right.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Do I hear any new business?
I move to bring up Resolution 2403.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Resolution 2403, Purdue voting accessibility. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Anybody can also yield time to Jason if Jason wants to talk more. Pro Tem Montcalm.
1 minute of my time to President Packard.
President Packard, I think we hit on most of the points earlier, and I think this is a big thing for Purdue student government and the senators to take a stance on that Purdue should have accessible voting every year.
Any other follow-up debate? Really? Nothing. Okay. Seeing none, we will move into a vote on Resolution 2403. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Perfect. With a vote of 25 to 0, Resolution 2403 passes. Do I hear any other further new business?
Move to bring Bill 2433 Senate floor. Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2433, Renewal of Disability Community Ad Hoc Committee. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Any debate? Okay. Seeing no follow-up debate, we will move into a vote on Bill 2433. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? 25. Okay. With a vote of 25 to 0, Bill 2433 passes. Do I hear any other further new business? I will now entertain a motion to bring up Bill 2434.
Move to bring up Bill 2434. Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2434, 2024-2025 Financial Affairs Guidelines Update. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. A little bit of debate, guys, would be nice. If anybody wants to.
President Packard, I'm curious. I probably should have asked this during informal discussions, but I was occupied with the voter one. I'm curious how many groups applied last year and how many we funded. Was there like a really small percentage of groups we were able to fund because the limit was so high?
Can I yield my time to Treasurer Springer?
Give me a second. I'll fill it up.
I also want to ask a follow-up question for someone in the FA. What's the strong reasoning for this? If we don't know, if we're not trying to increase the percentage of groups that were funded, what was the motivator here?
Senator Williams, sorry. Are you asking the motivation between why we changed the maximum fund? That's so that the purpose of the small grants program is that it's small grants, so specifically for smaller organizations or for smaller organizations to get funding or just smaller events. We really wanted this program to be specific to that type of organization. Larger organizations or organizations seeking larger sums have resources to do that also within PSG. So when we cut the budget or the maximum fund that we can allocate to an individual organization to 250, we are able to then service more organizations with this small grant. Does that make sense? And then
I'd like to add on, there were 68 applications last year, 43 were approved and 24 were denied.
Yeah, Pro Tem Malcolm. I think based on those numbers, I think the scope of small grants can be a lot larger, and with that cut, I think that's going to be able to serve a lot more organizations and take a lot more initiatives off at Purdue. So I hope that goes through.
Yeah, Senator Cotero.
On what? An applicant for the grant.
So grants are accepted or denied based on the guidelines that are being put forth in this bill. It's based almost strictly on those guidelines. The Financial Affairs Committee is the ones who review those, and then they vote on the applications.
Can I yield 2 minutes of my time to President Packard?
Personally, before we make this change, I want to see more numbers that this would help people, because Treasurer Springer just told us it was about 70 or 80% of groups got funded. Also, when we made the budget this year, I put an extra $3,500 into our small grants program. If we want to fund more groups, I think there needs to be more discussion into possibly moving more money in there or changing other rules, it feels to me premature and aggressive to cut the limit in half.
Senator Eamon?
So, like, in my experience, I'm part of this small club of like Aero students, and like our total yearly budget is like around like $2,000. So I think small grants, like at least how I see the purpose of it, is to help kind of small clubs like that throw like a little more events per year to kind of like stretch out their budget because they don't have much money. And like $500 like is a lot, but like if that $500 is like what I'm an engineer, but I'm bad at math. It's like I don't know, it's like a fourth or an eighth. I don't know. I think it's a fourth. A fourth of the yearly budget. They don't really need that. Like if they just want to throw like an extra 1 or 2 events per year, and so I think it's like how I see it is like a good thing that if we advertise this better, we can get a lot more clubs actually, you know, going for oh we can if we get some money we can do this, and they see this as an option. I think like 250 is like a decent number for that. At least that's how I see it.
Senator Wolf?
Sorry, Senator Wolf, I had a question. So was the 24 that were rejected, was that just based on the guidelines, or was that because you ran out of money, or was it because of, like, were you worried about the money, like, you had?
So I don't know exactly the circumstances that they were denied because I was not participating in it last year. But as was mentioned to me by Senator Grossman, they had to put more money. They had to write a bill to put more money into the small grants portion of the budget last year because they ran out of money and they wanted to fund more groups.
I also want to remind everybody that new business is not meant for questions. That was for caucus and informal business, informal discussion. That was for informal discussion and caucus. It is not for new business. So, yes, this is a debate.
I just wanted to kind of agree with President Packard on just the sense of having more information before making a rash decision of, maybe not rash, but a drastic change in like splitting the budget in half. Granted, there was more money allocated to the small groups, along with, I would argue that there are quite a few small groups that maybe might have smaller budgets than what the senator up here was touching on. So, I think it kind of depends on the organization, and cutting it this drastically may just prevent some of those small groups from getting all the funds they may need for a bigger event.
Yeah, I think a little too late to raise the question during official. I think this should have been done during caucus and informal discussion. I think the financial committee were unanimous when deciding this. They deliberated on this with Springer. That we've moved past that phase. No on this bill, agree. But these questions were asked much earlier.
Senator Eamon?
I'll just add like a brief comment that I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe a club can apply multiple times for a small grant program. They just, like, you can't do multiple applications at the same time. So, like, it's not like they're only limited to, like, $250 maximum for, like, the entire year. So that's why I feel like it's fine.
Any other follow-up debate? Seeing none, we will move into a vote on Bill 2434. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? $20 to 1 to 3. We're missing somebody. How many were? Only 1 was opposed. 3 abstained. So we're missing 1 because we have 25 here. All those in favor, please raise your placards again. Any opposed? Any abstentions? To 1 to 2. Okay. With a vote of 22 to 1 to 2, Bill 2434 passes. Do I hear any further new business? I move to bring up Bill.
I move to bring up Bill 2435.
Perfect. There we go. It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2435, establishing the Purdue Student Government Indiana Lifeline Law Ad Hoc Committee. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on Bill 2435. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Any opposed? Any abstentions? With a vote of 25 to 0 to 0, Bill 2435 passes. Do I hear any further new business at this time? Seeing none, we will move into announcements. All right, anybody got any announcements? Any clubs you want to shout out? Yes.
So next Wednesday, October 2nd, there's the interim dean of the College of Education is doing pizza and politics. He's talking about the Electoral College. You do have to register. There's a link. So I can send that out on the Slack or send it to someone that they can send it out on the Slack if anyone is interested. It should be fun. So
I have an announcement. Everybody, do your civic duty to vote, whether it's on campus or not. Everybody vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. If you are registered out of state, make sure you are getting an absentee ballot. Yes, Senator Rice.
After this up here at the top.
Parliamentarian Newman.
Talking about voting, that's not what I was originally going to say, but the last day to request an absentee ballot for Indiana specifically is later in October. So it's sometime this month. You have to, you go online, you request it, and then they mail it to you. So that is how that process works. Would highly recommend you do it that way if you would prefer to vote in your home county over Tippecanoe County. Second, going forward, after this Senate session, if questions are asked or ingermane debate is made during new business, then I will call it out of order. There are proper ways to ask a question, and how we've been doing it is not correct. We implemented informal business to solve this problem last year. So please, if you have questions, please, during caucus or during informal discussion, because going forward, new business should be debate and how you personally feel about the topic. Now, another thing, there are people who were wondering or saying that the financial affairs guidelines should be changed. There are still ways to do that. If that is something that comes up in the future, you can amend something previously adopted. So at the next Senate session, if there's a consensus, we can amend the bill that we just passed. That is an option. I'm just, because we haven't talked about that motion specifically yet. And then in addition, during a meeting, if you as a Senate believe that something has not had enough debate or deliberation, then there are two options. You can postpone it to the next meeting, or you can refer it back to the committee. So those are your options when we run into scenarios like that.
Announcements? Any other announcements? Yes.
So the Polytechnic Student Council is having a kickback event tomorrow from 6 to 8 at Cracklawn. So it'll be fee.
Yes.
You
can actually do this over here.
Oh, I can't reach it from here, sorry. Just really briefly, the SOGA Period 2 deadline is going to be October 14th. And then we also have the equipment support grant for organizations. That's up to $5,000. Doesn't have to be tied to an event. The deadline for that is October 31st. There are going to be 3 periods of those.
Also, coming from Ohio, the deadline for the absentee ballot is mid-October as well, for those who want to vote in Ohio. Also, like, let's say too, I know you guys were discussing this earlier, but let's say we do not get a polling location on campus during election day, we will be looking into city bus times and distributing that to students so that they are aware of when they can catch the city bus to go vote. Potentially, maybe, we could rent like Lafayette Limo or some kind of shuttle, but also like City Hall, they may not go for busing people back and forth from there. So, but hopefully early voting will be at the co-rec. We will see. Yes. Yes. No, you can't
BOD
say
is
anything.
having a whole bunch of events in the next couple weeks. We have engagement during an event, technology, HEAM, and sustainability. So keep your eyes out and try to go to their events. They love to see people from PSG go to their events and interact with them.
Where are they?
Oh, they're all throughout the week. I know sustainability is on Tuesday. They're doing a recycling themed event. Engagement is every week. I don't have the exact dates, but they should be up on the Instagram or social medias. So
Can you send the schedule on the general Slack channel too?
yeah, I can.
Perfect. Chief Justice Springer.
Yeah. So, my voice. In the spirit of talking about new initiative, new events and stuff, the week after fall break, October 14th through the 18th, Quarter's going to be doing our semi-annual Know Your Rights Week outside of Croc. If it's too cold or if it's raining, it will be inside Croc Lobby. We hand out Jimmy John's, we hand out like a bunch of PSG, like points, flyers, stuff like that for legal services. And the general point is to educate people on campus about legal resources, both through Purdue and around Purdue, and what their student rights are. I can tell you, as someone who has done this for 3 years, a lot of people do not know what their student rights are or what is around here. So it's a really useful event. Also, I am looking into possibly, firstly, pairing up with Student Legal Services, where me and Becca work, and trying to get an event to spread the word about it, to educate people about it, especially considering there are initiatives that Leslie wants to accomplish that she will be on the Senate floor in about a month to communicate. As well as possibly going with PUPD to further educate about the Indiana Lifeline Law, which is still pre-planning. But when the Indiana Lifeline Committee comes together, I'll reach out to you guys and we can try to plan that event. Also, while I'm just randomly saying words, I'm also floating the idea of possibly talking to Becca and Eli about having BOD members or senators come sit in for court in the spirit of integration, or having more court members come for Senate meetings. I know a lot of people don't know exactly what we do. We handle a lot of stuff. We meet Mondays, Cranert G002 from 6 to 8. If you'd like to sit in or anything like that, you guys are welcome to. Just send me a message on the Slack. I'll make sure everyone is down with it, which they will be. We're pretty chill people. And you guys should be good to sit in on our events. And if anyone wants to know more about court, feel free to shoot me a DM on the Slack or anything like that.
Yeah, and I just want to bounce off that. We will be having a lot of continued conversations in regards to Purdue Legal Services. We have one attorney. She cannot represent you in court, but she does give legal advice, and a lot of students reach out to her, and they are severely, severely overbooked. Other Big 10 schools have multiple attorneys and a bigger budget, and so we're really going to be advocating for them this year. Senator Rice.
Going to court is actually part of your Senate duties. So it's not only recommended, it is required. And make sure you tell Pro Temp Moncombe if you go do that.
Please tell me as well.
Yes.
Press Secretary Gonzalez.
Like I said in executive reports, please check the Boilermaker briefing for one. I would really appreciate it. I work very hard on those. But there is specifically a link in there to a form about requesting publication of like an event or an organization. And a lot of these events that you guys are talking about sound awesome. I'd like for more people to know about them. So if you have an event that you think would fall under, the aligned goals of Purdue student government that you believe would be worthy of being highlighted in the Boilermaker briefing. Submit to that form. I'll be able to look through them, see if I can approve them, and push them out to the entire undergraduate body. So don't abuse that power, but use that power.
Okay. Seeing no further announcements, we'll move into Senator Snaps. And also, do not leave if you get snapped at. There are snacks that you guys are supposed to retrieve if you receive a snap. Yes.
Senator Snaps to. Okay, Senator Williams for. How does?
I have no idea.
Please ignore. Senator Snaps to Senator Williams for taking the initiative to reach out to me for the Indiana Lifeline Law ad hoc bill.
Snaps for all the Sams that showed up today. Appreciate you guys being here.
Senate snaps for you guys working diligently to get your SAMs and to appoint them and to make sure they're on the same page as all of us. Yes.
Yeah, Senate snaps to the newly appointed senates.
Senate snaps to Senator Rice, who has a Purduettes performance on Thursday that you all should go support.
We can get into the venue, it's pretty small.
Seeing no further Senate snaps, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Move to adjourn. Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
It has been properly motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. It is not amendable nor debatable and requires a 2/3 majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Perfect. This meeting is adjourned.